Viewing this emote and this is Halloween intensifies. Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon, and with every Festival of the Lost we have cosmetics both reappearing and new arrivals in the store to go over, so let's go ahead and get into them. Starting with all the various armor sets, I just want to lay out my opinions flat with this year's. I'm personally not a fan of how they went about picking these, just because I think I've mentioned this in past videos. I'm a fan of when it's Theme 1 or Theme 2. I'm not a fan of Theme 1 version A or Theme 1 version B, just because looking at the Titans versus the Hunter and the Warlocks, the Hunters and Warlocks look far cooler, at least in my opinion. That is just, of course, my perspective. All of the armor sets look amazingly detailed and well designed. I am just far more a fan of the Dark set than the Good set, and of course, because it was up to community vote, I, in the end, didn't have a choice because the community wanted this for some reason. That being said, again, the armor does look fantastic on all three characters. I just wish it was a little bit different in terms of theming. And speaking of armor sets, we go back all the way to the year of Shadowkeep's Festival of the Lost with the Chemflesh Titan as well as the Werewolf Hunter, the Vampire Warlock. 2 or 3 years ago with the Dinosaur bundle with T-Rex Titan, Velociraptor Hunter, and Triceratops Warlock. The boring as hell Gundam set, in my opinion, that is just Power Rangers but slightly Destiny, because, you know, it doesn't even look that unique in the end of the days. And as well, last year's set, which was the Insect or Arachnid set with the the Beetle, Warlock, and the Spider, Hunter, and Titan. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of how they went about picking their designs, but I still love how they ended up looking in the end. Now, if you're looking for some Halloween-themed weapon ornaments, there is the one for the Pride Glass ornament for Fighting Lion. While it doesn't look essentially spooky, it is quite a clean look as well, adding a roaring lion to the side and just a more unique color scheme than just the bland silver. And next is Worm Perilous for the Parasite. Gives it a dragon scale and dragon egg launcher look, which honestly I use this almost constantly on any of my characters anytime I use Parasite for any reason. So I definitely recommend it. And next is a Frankenstein Promethean Prelude for the Grand Overture. With its newfound usage in the Vesper's Host Dungeon, I might recommend picking this up in case you either missed out on the old ornament or just aren't a fan of how it looks in base. And speaking of ornaments, of course, there is new masks available for silver exclusively in the Eververse Store, in case you wanted to rep either Cade yourself or have your hunter looking more hunter normal in the event as follows, as well as the Witness mask, which adds a bit of hilarity with both googly eyes and a really tall head. I legitimately wonder if the rest of this head is hitboxed in the Crucible. And just like the armor, we of course have masks from previous years, going all the way back from last year to the year before that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, as well as the very first year with the Colonel mask and the Jack-o'-lantern mask. Again, available for silver. I'm not sure if they will show up for Bright Dust at any point, but just keep your eyes out for it or claim it now if you still wish. In case you were interested in spending the extra roughly $10 US to get the expanded Festival of Lost event pack, there is the Lustrous Allure shader, which is basically the good Titan wizard look on other armor. In case you like the color palette but didn't like the armor, you could use this to apply it to a variety of other characters in what way you wish. As well, there is a Sparrow, which probably won't load visually, but I hope it proves me wrong. It's Phosphoric Phantom, which is basically a ghost train Sparrow, in case you wanted to look a little bit more spectral while running trains on people. With that, next as well, there is the Ghostly Messenger, which is basically you and a friend doing a little Ouija board and trying to contact someone beyond the veil. But aside from that, this is quite literally what the emote is. When it ends, it just kind of ends. Nothing more unique there. But next as well, spending your event tickets on, there is the Clairvoyant Shell, which I believe is a psychic seeing sphere or a, I forget, orb. I forget what it's officially called, but it is a very cool look for the Ghost Shell plus with the tapping fingers and the blue glow. It does look quite unique for Halloween stuffs. Then next is the Pumpkin Possession emote, which is basically just you starting to float, a pumpkin taking over your head and just kind of existing in place of you for a little bit. But then, you know, you break free or it just lets you free and you get back to it. Next is an Umbral Harbinger Transmat effect, which is another Festival of Lost Transmat from years prior. I believe it was the Haunting Moon or Murder of Crows. That, of course, it was just turned red for a Blood Moon. And lastly, a Ghost Projection to antithesize the good wizards with the dark wizards. Again, Ghost Projections, I personally like this just a tad bit more, but in the end, who actually cares about Ghost Projections nowadays? Getting into the rest of the stuff that was added just this year, there is a bundle available for a shell, ship, and sparrow in case you wanted to get them at a discount. There is the conductive hubris, which is a kind of Frankenstein sparrow. It does leave an electric cloud. I would love to show it if it would actually decide to load. Otherwise, I might just share a screenshot of it off of the internet as per usual. But next is also the decollated dread, which is basically a jack-o'-lantern or a hive-o'-lantern ghost or sparrow that is quite an interesting look for Halloween themes, and of course it leaves behind a trail of candy corn in its wake in case you wanted to scream this is a Halloween ship. As well, there is the Eternal Shell, which I believe at current time of recording is available also in the Bright Dust store. It does miss a little bit because the eyes are a little bit misaligned. I don't know if they're supposed to be eyes, but it's another ghost essentially in the end. Do love the look of it, although I do wonder if we can look under and see what is operating those arms. But with that, that is the bundle that is currently available. Next is two finishers, the Stone Cold Smash, which I don't know if you saw it just because it always starts off a little bit quickly, but that is you grabbing a tombstone and breaking it over somebody's head. I love that idea. Next is the Colony Crust, which is you sending out a bunch of bats on an opponent, which is a shame that we didn't have this when we had the Vampire Warlock set initially. That would that would work with it too much. Apologies for the flub. Next is a Trick or Trio, which is a harken back to the Nightmare Before Christmas with, I forget the names in them, but the three little shits that did Oogie Boogie's bidding with the little devil, the little witch, and the little skeleton mask. Of course, they're doing something. I don't remember if this was a reference to the movie itself, but then again, it is definitely a reference with the visuals other than just the movements. Next is the Have a Balloon emote, which I imagine is for all of the Pennywise fans out there that wish to creep them out with a little bit more than just that one Pennywise dance in the store. There is also the Here's Johnny emote referencing The Shining, which for some reason the visuals aren't playing. Let me see if I can get that to reset. Yeah, yes. Stick your head to the door, but then it falls down and you have to awkwardly stand there because you didn't mean to knock down that door. I guess you didn't. Next, moving on, there is, of course, a few Blue Rarity emotes. One that is in the store that's a very simple one, where it's just a reaction to being jump scared in the end. So, kind of small and simple. And the Peekaboo emote in case you wanted to pretend like you were scaring children, which, is not really that important. Next is an Interstellar Ghost Shell, which is a very cool looking arcade base for a ghost shell. But then again, it looks more cartoony than haunting, but, costumes alike. Another unique Halloween-based sparrow, a gargoyle, almost vampire kind of casket sparrow. A gargoyle was the only thing that for sure comes to mind, but I do think this looks a little bit casket-based with a nice purple trail afterwards. It is otherwise an original sparrow with some haunting horns. And finally loading, we have the Conductive Hubris, which I tried to show earlier, but otherwise showing Electric Trail, Frankenstein Tomb. I actually just noticed too, there is a tomb right here in the center, so you'll carry around a corpse with you to reanimate in the future. Then a ship that is currently available in the store, the Wretched Bow, which I'm not sure if I'm officially saying that right, but it looks quite spiky. It looks like you'll get tetanus just from standing near it. So if you wish to haunt the Hallows or haunt the space Hallows that you go across, that is time for this ship to shine. In stark contrast, we have one that looks lethal and cutting, but also quite gorgeous in the same line. We have the Nevermore Sparrow, which looks quite gorgeous while also lethal in the eyes of guardians everywhere. Now with that, that is the end of everything that is new to this year exactly off the bat. I'm not sure if they're going to be releasing anything more along the next coming weeks, but at the same time, there is, of course, like I mentioned before, other previous armor sets from previous years back to Shadowkeep that I believe will all be available for Bright Dust if you have the allowed amount to, purchase them, as well as many other finishers from previous years, as well all the emotes from previous years, at least going up back to Shadowkeep, as well as ghost shells, sparrows, and jump ships, in case you wish to, wrap the Halloween theme all the way back to previous years. And as well, there is some of the basic emotes that are, again, available. Not relatively cheap in terms of silver, but here's also hoping they come back into the Eververse store for Bright Dust, in case you just wanted to clear these and get them for free. But with that, that is everything new in the Festival of the Lost 2024 event tab. My name is TheMadScorpyon. I will see you in the next video.